Welcome to Nonprofit Support Group, brought to you by Nonprofit Tech Shop and hosted by Mandy and Karen. Get ready to learn, share, grow, and hopefully laugh through the chaos.
All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you, Mandy. It's looking like you've got some nice sunshine coming into your flat.
We've got some sun. Yeah, I wanted to be on the other side of the table, but charging is a part of life apparently, and I didn't do it. So here we are.
One of the flaws of technology. Always got them.
I mean, but I get to look. I can see the sea. So
I can
life's not
see
bad.
the reflection behind you of the beautiful doors. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, you do. We got it in the fridge. There. Oh, and there
yeah.
too. We got options right now. And it looks nice and sunny in Albuquerque, which is not surprising in June.
Not surprising. It's sunny and it's hot already. It's pretty early and it's already hot, but that's what we come to expect this time of year, so that's okay.
It
We'll survive.
is. It is part of life.
Part of life. I'm excited to get into this though. We've got to
I am
start with
too.
our we're gonna start with our sips.
We are. So what do you, I know that you, what do you got? I'm hoping not water this time. I mean, I want you to be
No.
drinking water, Karen.
Well, I mean, she's always here, but that's not my main sip right now. It is the morning for me, so I do have some lovely coffee in this beautiful origami mug that I only have because you've introduced me to them. It's a great drinking experience, but I'm just drinking some Trader Joe's drip coffee. Got to get through the day. I have a whole carafe over on the other side of the room. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. But I bet you have a different sip because we're on different sides of the world.
We are, and it's almost 5 o'clock here, people, right? So I'm only having wine right now for you. It's not for me. So, but I got yoga later, so I can't have too much wine. But I have got some, you know, is it the best wine I've ever had? No, but it's wine. So we've got some, I can't read anything besides dry. Oh, wait. An expressive wine from the terroir of Nemea PDO region with deep ruby color, intense aromas of berries and vanilla notes, elegant in the mouth, nice volume, and long fruity aftertaste. You know what? I gotta say, for a cheap wine, it's working. And you know what you never want to know though?
Oh gosh.
Actually, it's not that bad. It's how many calories are in each glass of wine. But you know what's surprising and positive? It's actually only per 100 milliliters, so that would say 7.5 glasses. And
Okay.
um who makes a bottle of wine 7 glasses? So let's call that, but basically like 140 calories per glass. I feel like that's a good deal.
That's
I'll take
that's
that
not
deal.
bad. That's a lot less than what's in my heavy IPAs that I drink when I decide to have something yummy. So yeah, you might turn
Precisely.
me into a wine girl.
See, can we get Karen drinking wine the next time we? Because right now with my time zone, we can't really record in your afternoon, or else I'm doing like a 2 a.m.
You're
thing.
gonna be drinking 5-hour energies to be awake. I don't want to do that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna leave that to my dad who loves those things, all right? Like, who knew that
He's
at
the
80,
he's
that's
the
when you
bill.
get hopped up on the 5 hour energies. But I digress. Okay, but now, what a week in sports. Oh my gosh. So I know it just happened, what, today, yesterday? I'm kind of lost in the space-time continuum, but uh is Messi caught up with Marta now for World
I
Cup
don't know if
goals?
he's caught up with Marta. I think he might be. He's so dang impressive. It's so fun to watch, and we're watching such a great right now, and it's we just got to really take it all in. But every time he like scores again, and he's setting the record for the men's side, I just can't help but think about Mbappe, who's like in his early 20s or mid 20s, who's like right behind him. So I mean, it's great, and he's going to hold the record for some amount of time. But man, there's some good young players out there too.
I know. I need to. I want to. I haven't watched Mbappe play yet this World Cup. I need to do that. So,
Yeah,
and
he's fun.
I'd say wait till the knockout rounds. But I mean, on our list today as well, Cape Verde. Who knew?
Who knew? I like biggest Cape Verde fan on the planet over here. I love seeing, I mean, for really any sporting event, and this is not a novel thought, but the underdog. Who doesn't love the underdog? Just coming in, ruining the plans that everyone had and all their predictions. It's just so fun.
Yeah, I really just love that two teams that are well respected in Spain and Uruguay. It's like, okay, Spain was a draw, but they scored 2 goals against Uruguay. Like,
Yeah.
let's go. I am brackets be damned. I don't think I picked them for anything, but I would love to see them continue to upset because, like, who's going to come out of that bracket? Like, they've drawn on two, like, they can't be at the bottom.
No, I'll be very interested to see who comes out, and I will not act like I'm an expert on the new rules of getting out of your group and into the knockout phase, but I think it will be a little interesting and maybe a little maybe controversial just because of what FIFA changed their rules to on like point differential versus head to head moving people out. So yeah, we're gonna have a really good test case for if they like that model.
Yeah, I am very interested to see what happens. And some people have been underperforming, obviously Uruguay and Spain, because I bet they had that as their like
Easy.
guaranteed we're gonna win this. And here we are. But moving on to what we love so much more. Sorry, boys, in the World Cup, but we've had some fun record breaking or record tying moments in the WNBA. So help me out here. Angel Reese, what? Fastest to 1,000 rebounds. What's her stat this week?
I think I think that's what it was. I'm sorry, I can't confirm or deny. I know that she did have a record-breaking week, but the thing I'm hung up on is that she did that all in the same week. She had her new shoe drop, which I just think is really great too. Really great marketing plan to align, we're marketers. I'm maybe just a little bit, but to align the achievement with the shoe drop, we love to see it. We love Angel Reese. She's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I like to see her hit that milestone.
He is, and there was another we loved another shoe drop this week, right? From our favorite ally in the WNBA, Miss Asia Wilson, with 4 MVPs, and
Yep.
she had her new Asia 2 drop with the Mulan theme and the color scheme. That's a really fun shoe. Like, I don't need any basketball shoes, but I kind of feel like I need that shoe.
I'm upset because I did buy some basketball shoes a couple months ago. I bought Asia's, but it was like I had one thing to know about me is I am such a cheap person. I got the ones that are on sale. They're white, like they're great. But now I see those and I'm like, I might need those to go shoot around for an hour once a week, right? That would be a good investment.
I mean, look good, feel good. You might shoot better. And
Look
will
pretty, play
she,
dirty,
yeah. I mean, could she stop you from being cheap then and get the new
potentially.
ones? Since,
Because the
yeah, it could.
Mulan, Mulan's like one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, I love everything about it. And of course, for those of you who don't know, look it up. Every year, Asia makes her gay cake for all of her gay teammates for Pride
She's got a
Month.
lot of them.
And she's good.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, so you just aren't like the best women's basketball player probably that's ever lived. You also make shoes and cakes. What am I doing with my life?
I
Goodness
know.
gracious.
The cake reveal is always an exciting part of the month of June. Very niche thing to look forward to. Not sure that everyone out there even knows what we're talking about, but definitely look it up. Asia Wilson, Pride Cake, it always delivers.
So my last WNBA, just because I love Marina Mabrey and all of her
Crash
chaotic
Out Queen.
energy and everything she brings to the court. But she's brought, like, I feel like, go Toronto for getting a team, right? She's with Toronto, isn't she? I'm not making things up here.
Yes.
Tempo?
Yeah. The temp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like she's got a brand new bag. Like, it might be like getting, the new teams did not necessarily have as many options for more household name known players in the league as they're building up. And so she's a bit more of the star than maybe she was on her more recent teams. And I feel like she's shining. And so she tied, what, 9 3-pointers in one game?
That's
Y'all,
crazy.
9 in one game. And so that's the
That's
record, right? No
crazy.
one's ever done more. So she's out here.
Marina Mabrey is so chaotic, so messy in the funnest way. She is the definition of a player that you love to have on your team, but absolutely hate to play against because she's crazy. But I love her. I love that about her. I love to see her having a really nice game like that. She can shoot the lights out. So good shout out. We love Marina Mabrey. Maybe she'll be a podcast guest for us one day.
That would be amazing if you can
Have
figure
your people call my people, Marina.
that out. That would be great. So,
I'll work on it.
so
I'll
yeah,
make that my
we're
rock
gonna,
for next quarter.
yeah, that's your rock for next quarter. We're gonna get a WNBA star. Maybe like we just open it up, just like a star. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be her. I mean, that would be fun. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, well, moving on. We love sports and sips. Obviously, we linger here. So today, in the world of nonprofit news, I love this part because like every week I've always passively read nonprofit news, but now I am very intentionally looking for it so that I can, have something great and interesting and inspiring. And so we're going to go back to something. I know every week there's been something politically related, and right, there are a lot of political or politically adjacent nonprofits. So something I did not know that shocked me, Karen, I don't know if you could believe this, that Pittsburgh almost lost their local paper at the beginning of this year. And if they had, they were rescued by a nonprofit, number one. So that's why this is relevant. Um, but it would have been the largest metro market in the United States at 1.73 million people that would not have had a local paper. Can you believe that?
That's absolutely shocking when you shared this bit of news and that this almost happened. You see often in small markets, and that's part of this article, and I won't go into it quite yet, but you see papers going under all the time, small markets. You don't think that's even a possibility in a market that big. So I found that completely shocking.
Unbelievable. And here's what was interesting though, right? And this is where I think the learning, I mean, that's crazy. So great that it was saved by a nonprofit. But um, specifically in Appalachia, that local papers are falling left and right. And that out of 257 counties in Appalachia, 200 are classified as news deserts or near deserts. I'm going to be honest, that's a new term to me. And it's from losing local newsrooms, whether they be television, print, whatever it is. But here's what matters. It makes sense now that I think about it. I'm sure if we all think about it, but you think, okay, whatever, what's the big deal? You can get your news XYZ place, right? But as we talked about last week with the voter turnout efforts from Bonnaroo and talking about the impact of local government on our day-to-day lives, this is again another impact that I wouldn't have thought about with local newspapers. That voter turnout declines, public corruption goes unmonitored, and you end up with lower bond ratings and higher financial costs and higher taxes and higher borrowing costs for local governments because it's harder to evaluate that, what's happening locally if you don't have local news. So rather than local news being what drops off after civic decline, that it actually is a cause of civic decline in these, we say small, Pittsburgh, not so small places.
Yeah. No, that was news to me as well. And when you actually sit back and think about it, it starts to make sense and you wonder how you didn't come to those conclusions yourself. But yeah, the small things that happen when institutions like this fall off, especially in a small place, you take it for granted. I mean, I don't know about you, I still read the local newspaper from my town, the Peninsula Clarion, and it's,
You do?
you gotta, I like to keep up with it, and I take for granted that I can catch up on all the local news by following that. And it's one great thing with online news is I have access to it. But we all know
Right.
and have seen a lot of the negatives that come with that. One of them, the way that papers generate revenue is changing, and that's one reason why a lot of local papers are going under, because it's hard to keep up with that. Yeah, this is really great news. Also, shout out to Nonprofit Quarterly. That is a great place to find some news,
It
and just find a
is.
lot of really good publications from them. So they're fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There were a number, but that one just obviously jumped out because it's just so shocking to think about a market like the Pittsburgh market not having a paper. And for all of us to think about, if we can, obviously, economic times are difficult. I mean, at least gas prices are going down now that our nonsensical, expensive, zero accomplishment war is over. I digress. It's funny though, because when I was at New York Tech Week, someone was like, "Oh, I mean, this really needs to be addressed." I'm like, "Sure, yes, we all agree that any form or act of terrorism needs to be addressed." I'm sorry, do you think no one else in the last several decades wanted to address it? You think no
So
one else
smart.
tried and that like we just didn't try hard enough? This isn't a question. And I wish that actually I might find that guy on LinkedIn and be like, huh, how'd that work out? I'm sorry, what did we stop again? I'm sorry. Like this is again, I will stop digressing now. We are gonna be but again, if you're a listener here, you probably agree. And if you don't, you might not want to be a listener because
Yeah,
this is where
which
we
is okay.
stand on things. But in this economy, if you can, if you're going to support any news, support local news.
Yeah.
If you can afford to pay to get past the paywall, yeah, they're annoying, but like kind of like we talked about with nonprofits, we have to pay the people who work at them most of the time. Our nonprofit hero is going to be the exception to the rule. We'll get there. But most of the time you do. And so, same thing, to have a paper, we got to pay people to write, to edit, to cover things. So let's support those organizations if we can, because that's what keeps
Honestly,
the important wheels turning.
no, absolutely. We might need to make a future problem of the day. How can we make a better customer experience with online news and paywalls? Because that is one of my biggest gripes. It's not the actual paying, it's the experience of seeing something you want to read and immediately being hit with that. I don't know the answer, but I feel like if they could figure that out, it might be a little bit less causing a friction, making people not want to pay. People aren't reading it then no matter what. So future problem of the day, write that down.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that too. But that's
We
our
can,
that's our news for the day. I think that's good news that the paper is still up and running, and good news that we can all do our small part to support our local papers. So interesting though, Karen, I saw what you have here. Tell us about this Reddit readout.
this is a readout that I think is probably extremely common, but this person put it in Reddit to crowdsource some opinions. So we'll link this. We'll link this to the recording of this. But the original poster is talking about how they're trying to migrate their donor data into GiveButter, and they need to do it themselves. They're on a tight deadline. They have what they describe as a small amount of donors, about 1,000, which is not insignificant, but smaller than some other migrations, sure. But they're stuck on the cleanup and mapping part of everything. So they're asking, like, do I go to Fiverr? Like, what kind of consultant can I find? I can't find someone who knows GiveButter. Like, I'm getting really overwhelmed with this. So, what would be your take on that, Mandy? I mean, these are things that we talk to folks about, but if you're a small shop and you've got to do this yourself, how would you tackle that?
I'm going to give two different answers for two different types of operators. So the first thing I'm going to go to is what we've always done out on the terrain. Um, Use Lucid Chart. You could use Yeah, use a spreadsheet, right? Use Excel, but like that visualization of mapping is really going to help you make sure that your sheets are right. And so line that out. What are the properties? What are the associations? Where I know in the comments, people talked about duplicates being an issue. So, like, what is going to be so much of all of this, whether we see it when we're working with a client to do a migration, whether people are doing it on their own, is not understanding your requirements and not making. This is why knowing how to build automations is so powerful. What is your if then logic? What do you need to consider, right? So, like, okay, how are you going to determine that something's a duplicate? What's going to be the parent decision making of whether something's a duplicate or not? What's going to be the child decision making? How will your merging and deduplication prioritize that? What are you going to do with duplicate properties where you have two different values for the same one? Which one will you prefer? And those are the decisions. Once those decisions are made, so no matter what path you take, whether you use VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, whatever you have to do to manage that, that part you got to map out no matter what. Now, once that logic is done, you can get into the manual work of it, or you can use Claude, you can use whatever tool you use. You could use something like Zapier or Make, and then you clean your data. And if the tool you're using has an MCP, then you can go ahead and pull that data out and move it into another system. So, maybe you're anti-AI. I get it. We're destroying resources. I was talking to, I call her Claire, not Claude, right? I was talking to Claire today, and she said something really obvious to me. And I'm like telling AI this, which is, I get it, because now I'm the one doing it. But it's like, that's, unless you talk to a whole bunch of people who are just like without any logic whatsoever, why are you burning through my credits and clean drinking water and energy to tell me that this needs to happen? Like, let's keep our answers to the point, unless I ask you a question about like how to do 1, 2, 3 type of sequencing. Okay. And so she said I was right, but I have a feeling she's going to say things like that to me again. But
Oh yeah.
point being, go ahead and either work through it yourself or set up an agent to be able to go in and follow that decision tree and move the data and then surface to you the ones that don't match. But start with a plan, get yourself a lucid chart, understand what are the problems you're actually solving for, because every migration, yeah, you got to format and move the data, but what you're really dealing with is duplicate values, households, constituents, donations, depending on how many systems you're working with, but it can be tackled. And if you don't know how to, like, I don't have the best Excel skills in the world, so I would rather go in and build like an agent or an automation to move it for me once I know the logic of what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, I think that your take there, your advice, how you'd approach it is very similar to a lot of the feedback that was given to the original poster. And I think from what I was reading and from what I hear in conversations, because we talk about these things a lot with folks, is you do have to sit with your data and sit with what you're trying to accomplish and what you need to do. No one knows your data like you. So there, to your point, you do have to sit there and think about it, and you have to map things out. And then yes, even if you do hire a consultant, right, Mandy, like when people hire us, there still is a workshop where you're going to have to work through these things with us and we'll help guide you, but there's always going to be that step that you can't skip. So it's definitely not easy. I think that the person who posted this got some really good tips. I'm curious what happened with it. I need to follow up in there and see if anyone has an answer. But we also are going to talk about a similar topic to this in our problem of the day. We're going to talk about migrating from CRMs and just what should you think about. So it'll lead pretty well on from where we just spoke here. So that's our Reddit readout. Next, we've got our hero of the week, Mandy. Who we got?
Yes. Yeah. So, man, I feel like, you got the Reddit readout and the problem. I've got the fun stuff. Like, what's that all about? But maybe don't change it, though. Don't change it. But
I like it. We've got a good thing going.
So, hero of the week in the nonprofit world comes from one of our favorite cities in the United States. New Orleans. And Below Sea Level Aid, also love their name
Yeah, really good.
because that's, pain point sometimes. But what I love about what they're doing, so number one, small nonprofit, they've got a knack for writing grants and winning them. So maybe you need to hit them up. Maybe they could get more funding by helping other
Get
organizations
some
win
tips.
grants. But they're winning grants. They've got 8 unpaid volunteers that run all of this. So where they got their start, and this all comes from folks that are in the community who understand what the problems are and wanting to solve them, which is what we all are doing in the nonprofit world. Um, but is safe access for clean access for safe use. So for some people, this is a hot topic. For those of us with a lot of compassion and understanding, people are going to use either way. And these people who are struggling, who are at some of the hardest places that any of us could imagine being in our lives, where we might, where we would never want to be and don't think we could be, people end up there. So, um, every person who is using is somebody's child, spouse, sibling, parent. These are people. And so every person who is using could be sober one day. And even if they're not, the people who love them want them to be alive. And I am a big fan of these types of programs. I think that we should have more of them. We have seen that clean and safe use, taking stigma away from use, actually reduces harm. This is absolutely harm reduction in every sense of the word. So they put together care packets that have clean needles, Narcan, strips to test and make sure they're not getting a bunch of fentanyl or something in whatever substances the person receiving this kit has procured, hygiene items. And so this is where they got their start. They hand these out. This is great. And now what they're doing, because one of the folks in this nonprofit, one of the volunteers works in the health space, is helping to supplement the costs of medicine. They're also supplementing the cost of other, like direct, which we've seen this with one of our clients, like direct assistance with rent, utilities, and groceries. So shout out to Below Sea Level and your 8 volunteers in New Orleans and everything that you're doing, not only for harm reduction, but just helping everyday people with real things that allow their lives to work. Because at the end of the day, that's something that isn't always as easy or accessible or obvious in our programs that happen at the government level, is to get access to that kind of stuff. So I don't know, Karen, I love, like, when I read, like, yes, it makes me sad that we need these types of services, and we do. So somebody's
Yeah.
got to provide them, and I love that they're doing it.
Someone has to fill that void. And yeah, seeing the success that such a small group, I mean, started even smaller, like one person, and the drive to grow it, to provide more resources, to bring more people in, to change more people's lives, to save more lives. It's incredible. And this organization is like so many. You can define them as small but mighty. And that's one of my favorite phrases, especially for a nonprofit, and driving that kind of change. Again, like you said, in a city that we love, is really, really great. So would definitely link this article. Check out Below Sea Level Aid. Doing really, really great work. I'm glad that you shared that one, Mandy. That's fantastic. But
Yeah,
next,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, sorry. I wanted to head into our problem because I'm just always throwing problems at you. So, as I mentioned a bit earlier, this aligns a little bit with the Reddit readout, which was about migrating data, donor data. So, for our problem of the week, this is one we come across pretty much with every person that we talk with, right, Mandy? Across different systems, they come to us saying, "Hey, we want to migrate from one CRM to another. Where do I even start?" Right? That happens to us quite a bit. So, if you got someone who came and asked you that question, where would you start? How would you give them some actionable tips that would make what is often a very overwhelming, project seem a little more doable?
Great question. So I'm going to ask a very quick clarifying question to you. Have they already decided on their CRM?
Yes.
Okay. So, first thing, inventory, and this is that like planning sequence, whether you want to do it in a document, a spreadsheet, a visual tool like Lucid or something similar. What all are you moving?
Mm-hmm.
What is everything that's being moved over? Are you moving over historical campaigns, campaign results and reporting? Are you moving over activities such as we sent Karen Sinet and her household an email, and then they converted from that email and they donated, and then they came to this event, right? So like, what are we moving?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the reason that we need to know that is that when we're doing a migration, we have to think about it like building a house, right? So you can't start moving over your art before you've leveled the lot and poured your foundation and
It's a really great
got your
analogy.
framework in place, right? And that's the thing that happens though, is people are like, I love emails. Let me move all the emails. So they're like, wait. What do the emails
Please
relate
don't.
to? What's their history? What are they going to relate to in the future? And so, like so many things in life, but absolutely in the world of tech, because we see this all the time, is there's just a lack of thinking things through. And that's going to cost you in a migration, and it's going to make it take a lot longer, be a lot less successful. Adoption's going to suck. So I think that what we need to do is start with what's everything that we're moving over. So start there, because that's going to tell you a lot of things. So then what you got to look at is, how does everything that's being moved over relate,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this campaign went to these people. There's a relationship between campaigns and people now. Okay. The campaign and how it was sent was based on these properties that were attached to households. So the campaigns are tied to households, right? So once you know what you're bringing over, then you create, just like I described, what are the relationships? This gets into your architecture. So how does all of this stuff connect?
Yep.
From there, what's your lowest common denominator that everything is built on? What is going to allow you to level the lot? What's going to be the foundation? Because that's the order, right? You can't bring activities in until you have contacts. You can't bring contacts in until you have households, right? So like, where are we going to? It's funny we're using a house as an analogy, because households is probably where you're going to start. But then
Yeah, exactly.
what values and fields are related to the households? What do you want to know about them? How does the new system layer information? You need to understand its architecture. Some systems, you might be moving from a system that is very deep, right? Where everything is a subtable of something. So you have a bunch of deep tables, like where an address is a subtable of a household, right? So that's going to impact how you bring things over and how they relate, because the address might have also been tied to your campaign. And then maybe the system you're bringing it over to, like if you were bringing it over to a system like HubSpot, it's a very shallow system on purpose to make it easy. If you think about it, if you're outside, and you're like trying to get things, it's like, okay, are these things in a bunch of like shallow holes where like I might have to go to different places, but everything's very shallow and organized? Or do I have to dig in a few layers in order to get what it is that I need, right? And so that's where we've got to think about like the structure of what we're moving as well, and how it's going to work together. So we start with, what are we moving? How does it all relate? What's the lowest common denominator? And then when we're looking at the lowest common denominator, then we're going to have to figure out within that the order of operations based on the structure of the information. So if it's something shallow, you can kind of bring everything in and then connect it.
Yeah.
If it's deep, if you miss a step and it's like, oh, shoot, like, the foundation didn't set and we started walking around on it, darn it, we're going to have to excavate and do it all again. And that's exactly what ends up happening.
Yep.
Then you start to get into pivot tables will not save you from that problem. That's going to be an advanced level nightmare. And then, of course, bring in sample data. Make sure that what you set up actually works and that you did not miss something. And then, of course, have a checklist to make sure you got everything. Have someone do QA. I don't care how smart you are, how detail-oriented you are, how many times you've done this. We are humans and we make mistakes. So check those along the way. But that's how I would approach and think about moving systems.
That's such a great outline. I don't know if we have a piece of content like a worksheet on that, but we need to have one so that people can see, one thing that I see, especially when I'm a seller, oftentimes when you get a new system, so in this example, you've picked your new CRM. The salesperson, the person who's going to be your customer success manager, whatever, they make it sound really easy. All you do is import the data. You just click this button. And then once it's in here, you click here. No, it's not that simple. And I really, really loved your analogy about the house because it really is all about the foundation and the architecture. So all of those points that you just gave were really fantastic. And at the end of the day, CRM projects and migrations fail all the time, and it's not because it's one system over another. It's because this planning step is missed and not thinking through
Yes.
everything. So I think that's really great, actionable tips that you just gave. And if you have any hurdles that you have encountered, anyone listening, while you've done a CRM migration, like what are the things that you wish you would have known last time you did a migration? Put that stuff in the comments. We'd love to see that.
Well, and here's what I would even venture to say, Karen. I love all of that. And I agree with you. When people are selling these things, it's like, oh, this is going to be so easy. And like to that person, it's probably true. I'm not saying they're being disingenuous. They don't do migrations.
Yeah.
Here's what I would think about before you even start shopping. Now, this would be advanced level preparation. This for you zombie preppers out there, okay? But
Doomsday.
before you even know where you're going, this is what, I'm going to sound like also some like self-help book. Like before you want to go to point B, you got to know what point A is, right? Inventory. If you're shopping a new system, inventory what you have. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between, I'm going to tell you this, your migration when you're going from a system that has one top type of architecture to another, it's going to make it harder. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It also means, this is my pro tip, shallow systems are better. They're easier to work with, they're easier to change, and they're easier to move.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly discourage you, if you're in a shallow system now, to go to a deep database table system. It is going to be more work for your team. It is going to make the data that you already have that's easier harder to work with,
Yep.
and you're hustling backwards. So those are my two pro tips. Document it now so you know what you're dealing with, because then you're also going to get, whether you're doing it yourself or someone else's, you're going to get a realistic look at what it means to move. Moving, just like when you're moving a house. And I won't give you the analogies all over again, even though I love a good analogy. You can imagine what that would be, the order of things when you're moving, unpacking and packing, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
no packing and then unpacking.
Yep. No, we're
You
with
know
you.
what I mean. But know that, and know the kind of database that you're working with. Salesforce, deep database. Blackbaud, a bit deeper than it needs to be. If you're in the museum space, Tessitura, oh my goodness gracious. Talk about overcomplicating the living daylights out of something. Like just say no to that. And you can tell by the user interface, how many clicks does it take you to get from a household to an address? If it's 3, it's probably too many.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
I
Boom.
love
All right.
that.
So our last little, let me make sure I've got the right screen here. And on this note, we're going to talk about this all like, Karen, I don't know if you just intentionally picked like the best. I beat Karen to the planning this week, but we didn't
She
have a
did.
lot of time.
She often does.
Well, I also am starting my day 9 hours ahead of you though, because I
Oh,
am
true.
9
Okay,
hours
I'll
ahead
give
of you.
myself a little grace then.
Yeah, I've got a bit of an advantage here. But hold on.
But
Okay.
I'm excited because just based on the title, I think I know where it's going, but I don't fully know. But from the sounds of it, it's going to align with what we've talked about.
So I've talked about wanting for mapping your data from the Reddit readout. We've talked about the problem of the day with being able to migrate data. So what I want to highlight is how important it is to have a great architecture. And so this is in HubSpot. You have a data model builder. We're in our demo account right now. So we've got a lot of like nonprofit related stuff, as you can see here. So this is where you really want, how beautiful is this interface, right? And you can move in, we can zoom out. Like, how do we want to be, right? So this is where we can see how all of our objects are associating, right? So what's great is we can go into here, how do households associate to deals, right? So this tells us not only, and that this is a one-to-many, so we can have a household associated to many different deals. And then these are all of the different ways that we're able to get in here and look at these different types of associations that we have, right? So these are all the different labels that we have, and we can have many of each of these types. So that is really great. And so we are going to go ahead and take a look at the other things, right? So we can look at how accounts are associated. We can go ahead and take a look at all of these different things. What are contacts associated to, right? So contacts can be associated to many different accounts. And so understanding this is a great example of, number one, just how awesome like HubSpot makes it so that you can understand how everything relates. Because this is where, like I talked about with the migrations, with the Reddit readout, like not only, and in our new 99 things about HubSpot that are great for nonprofits, understanding this and how powerful this is to be able to visualize, because there's another visualization about like what all objects are associated to each other, but like what are the labels and how are you organizing information? Not only for you visually, but that's how you're going to filter views. That's how you're going to filter and drill down into reports. That's what's going to make the information matter. Having a system of record, yes, great that you're collecting lots of information. As we see when we're moving it, how organized is it? Because it's only as meaningful as the organization that you apply to it. And organizing it, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is today. So whether you're going to do a cleanup or whether you're moving systems, awesome. If you're moving systems, use this as an opportunity to get very intentional, to think about it in two ways. Number one, what's going to make it easier for the people using it? Because if it's not easy to use, it won't be maintained. But then also, what are the questions that you want to ask your system of record, your CRM, whatever that is, your customer engagement platform? And are you organizing your data with properties/values, whatever it is, labels that are going to allow you to ask those questions easily? Because again, if the questions aren't easy to ask, no one's going to ask them. You won't have answers. Everyone will be frustrated that you use all this time working in a donor management system, CRM, etc., and that it doesn't actually make anything any better, more efficient, and doesn't impact outcomes.
Oh no, Mandy, we're losing you a little bit right as you're wrapping this up.
What? No. All right, we'll do a. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you
Are
now.
we back?
Yeah,
We're
you're
back.
back.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know if you could hear it in the background. I should have turned my ringer off because somebody was calling me. So I feel like my phone might have stolen some of the internet. Hopefully the AirPod Maxes kept some of that sound out. But no, if you don't have a way to ask the questions that you need to ask and it's easy to work with so that that information stays consistent, then everyone's just going to be annoyed that they have to enter everything into your donor management platform or CRM and that no impact was made and no outcomes were changed. And so
Yeah.
this architecture, you might be like, boring, but the rest of it and all of your beautiful emails and all of your automations can help you maintain this, right? It can help you account for human error. What human error do you need to account for? What is it? I cannot emphasize enough. Starting fresh, cleaning up what you have, moving to something new, understanding how information relates and is organized is going to be paramount to operational success, and then being able to automate and improve outcomes and make decisions. That's why we do all of this at the end of the day. It's really about that. It's not so we can all type a little bit more when we're on the phone.
Nope. I totally agree. I love how all of our topics weave together. And honestly, this is why places like us and people who do similar work. It's why we exist, because it's one of the most important parts of these projects, but it's one that often gets skipped. But it's also something you can do internally. You don't have to hire somebody else. It does just take
Yes.
somebody owning the project, owning the data, being willing to sit there and manipulate something like this. I mean, HubSpot does make it very easy. I'm sure other tools have similar things, or you can get some third-party tools to do it. But I think this is really great tip, and I really like the visual. I wonder if people, if you like when we do share some things visually, let us know. We can do it more often. I know this is a podcast, but if we're going to be doing these virtually and from our computer, we're going to take advantage of that. So I love that, Mandy. Thank you for the demo. And I think with that, that wraps up episode 3 of Nonprofit Support Group. Let us know what you thought. If there's any topics that you want us to cover moving forward, let us know. If you have a sport or a sip you want to submit to us, please do, especially for my sake, because I can be lame sometimes. We use all the help we can get.
We are going to forgive you for your sips for now, but we do want to see better sips next week.
You know what? I like to be challenged, and I'll be ready. I'm gonna be in a different place next time we record, I believe. So I'll have some other options.
Oh, that's true. Well, actually, by then we can start circling around to like my morning. So, all right, y'all. Yeah, I mean, my morning, whatever. We're gonna figure it out. We're not gonna do. We're gonna have an 11-hour time difference, so we're gonna figure something out.
We'll figure something out, but we won't do it on this podcast. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
Catch you on the next episode.
Have a great week.